To me, education means equal opportunity to important information,
opportunity for growth and development, second chances,
meaningful conversations,
empowering yourself to acquire the skills you need in order to be successful.
You're always constantly learning, constantly growing. So education it's a big deal.
Education is more than just being in a classroom. Education means access to opportunities and resources, and it happens every day at our shelters and our clients' homes.
We try and help people come to learn about themselves and becoming more self-aware so they can manage their reactions and behaviors.
In the Nutrition Center, education looks like clients accessing nutrition facts, cooking 101 skills, basic, chronic illness prevention, physical activity.
In Pierce House, education looks like consistency and accountability. So that works on both ends. Me providing consistent support or advocacy, whatever it is that the clients need, as well as me being accountable for what I should be doing, and it's holding clients accountable for what they should be doing.
It's more than just learning one's ABCs, reading, writing, or math and science. It's a chance to improve someone who is experiencing homelessness circumstance.
Education in so many different ways transforms the trajectory of clients when they walk in here.
I remember once working with someone did not have a formal education, decided to return to school after getting clean and pursued the GED and saw the greatness of the program and decided to pursue something further. So that individual went on to get their associate's degree and then later their bachelor's degree and became a case manager for housing.
It means empowering a generation to not only survive, but to thrive.
Hello, and welcome to our 6th Annual Education Luncheon. I'm Jose Munoz, Executive Director of La Casa Norte. When I joined the organization in February of 2020, I couldn't wait to lead an organization with such an important mission and strong foundation into its next chapter. I had a vision, I had plans, and I had lots of ideas, but COVID-19 threw us all a curveball, and everything quickly became centered on keeping our programs operational, our youth and families supported, and our community safe. At this time last year, we made the decision to shift our Annual Education Luncheon fundraiser into a more comprehensive, multi-day campaign to support all of our essential programs and the expanded needs in our community. With signs of normalcy returning this year, we decided to go hybrid with a multi-day education-focused campaign, culminating in our first and hopefully our last virtual education luncheon. I'm thrilled that even though we are not in person, we are able to still highlight and recognize some of our scholarship recipients today. The theme of our virtual education week is Empower a Generation. If you are new to La Casa Norte, you may be wondering why an organization whose mission is to provide housing for youth and families experiencing homelessness is hosting an education event. Well, education is a common thread that runs throughout all of our programs and services. From nutrition education and a fresh market to financial literacy and life skills trainings across all our programs. And yes, to supporting our youth in college to achieve their educational and career goals. We know that all forms of education empower youth and families to pursue their personal goals, experience success, and is life-changing for them and for our community as a whole. When they thrive, we all thrive. Our annual education luncheons have always shined a spotlight on our youth in college. Today, we will do the same, but in a more personal way. Current and former students have come together for a candid, roundtable conversation to share their insights and experiences. This past year has been especially challenging for students, but their resiliency has helped them thrive. I know you'll be as impressed with them as I am. 6 years ago, our inaugural education luncheon paid tribute to the late Gregory Mayer, a generous and longtime friend of La Casa Norte, who along with his husband, Michael Horvick, co-founded the More Than Ever Scholarship Fund for La Casa Norte's youth. Today, more than ever, La Casa Norte is so grateful to both of them for seeding the scholarship program at La Casa Norte, which continues to expand year over year to help our youth pursue their education and career goals. Thank you, Gregory and Michael, for making the best investment possible, an investment in the education of our youth and their future. I hope today you will feel inspired to support La Casa Norte's education scholarship initiatives. Today, we have a very special opportunity to double all donations thanks to a generous match from the Jill L. Miser Scholarship Fund and the Gregory Mayer Scholarship Fund. There's no better time than now to help empower a generation. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in person next year.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us at this virtual edition of La Casa Norte's Annual Education Luncheon. As many of you know, this event holds a very special place in my heart. For the last 6 years, we have come together at the annual luncheon to celebrate and recognize La Casa Norte's young people who are pursuing their educational goals. We also remember the legacy that my dear Gregory helped leave with the creation of the More Than Ever Education Fund, the first ever scholarship fund at La Casa Norte. I'm so pleased that we are able this year, even if it's through a computer screen, to hear directly from our students. They are the reason we are here today. I want to thank the youth in our scholarship recipient roundtable for having the courage to share their experiences with us today. In staying with our annual tradition, I would like to propose a toast. First of all, to the young people at La Casa Norte for persevering during the most challenging of years. To the scholarship recipients, past and present, for your diligence and focus in staying on your educational path. To La Casa Norte, whose work and outreach last year and this has been needed more than ever. To La Casa Norte Scholarship Fund donors for always believing in our young people and helping to empower a generation through education. And finally, to Gregory, whose legacy of compassion, leadership, and love lives on through the Gregory Mayer Memorial Scholarship Fund. Thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to seeing your beautiful smiles in person next year.
Hey guys, just to get started, we're going to go around. Everyone's going to state their name, how long you've been with the program, what college you attend, or in Ricardo's case, where you graduated from, and the career you are pursuing. You can also touch on if you want to, switch it up or stuff like that. So I'll go first. My name is Monique Harvey, Monique L. Harvey. I've been with Casa Norte about 4 or 5 years now. I attend Kennedy King College when I started the program, but now I'm graduating from Columbia College in May in a few weeks. And I am pursuing a career in television, film, music, and community outreach. I'm going to call on Charles since you're not muted right now.
Okay. Um, my name is Charles Jones. I've been with La Casa for 4 years. When I first started, I was going to Harold Washington to be a history teacher. But for the last 2 years, I've been working in construction and working in the trade industries. So I've been trying to get into the union now for like the last like 6 months. But I just finished up in a pre-apprenticeship with Walsh Construction like 2 weeks ago. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for the unions to open up, I'm thinking about going back to school to probably get finish up my degree in construction management rather than going in there for history. But it all just depends on how long I'm waiting. But outside of that, I'm just like working in construction and doing different things, like making different items and stuff like that. So,
I am
um,
Ricardo Delgado. I've been involved with La Casa Norte since 2012, 2013, I would say. I attended Harold Washington, where I graduated with my associates, and then I attended North Park University, where I graduated with bachelor's in history and secondary education, as well as my middle school endorsement. So at the moment, I work as an educator at an elementary school up in the north side of the city. And yeah.
Okay, we have a um, mixed, what do they call it? Mixed careers or mixed workforces going on. Um, so I know you guys have been in the program for a while. We're veterans at this point, but I want to know if you guys can think that far back, how you found out about La Casa Norte. I know for me, I was working with Teen Living Program, and they had a church on 55th. They had a drop-in center, and the case manager I was working with at the time was like, "Oh man, I found about out about this program. You have to be in college, you have to be like homeless, like everything that I was at the time." She was like, "You can do it," and I applied. Well, first I got my documents together, and then I applied, and I've been here ever since. So we can just keep going in the order that we did introductions.
um, I found out honestly, I got lucky with La Casa because honestly, like I came down there for an intake. I was going through some things, and so we were just googling. When I say we, I mean like one of my like mentors from like my grade school. We were just trying to figure out some resources, and we found out about this program. We found out about La Casa Norte, and so we came down there to do an intake or whatever. And then on the way out, Leslie just like sparked up a conversation with us and just asked a little bit more questions that didn't get asked during the intake process. And that's when I found out that I'd be a candidate for this program. So when I found out about it, I literally had to get enrolled within school for like a week later. So like when I found it, went from me knowing nothing about like transitional housing to like now I gotta get back into school and do all of this. And it was like within like a week or two. But that's how I found out about it. And yeah, me and Leslie been close like ever since. So
That sounds like our lovely Leslie. Ricardo?
So I was in high school at the time, and I had issues with my housing at the time. And I was involved with this organization called Youth Crossroads. And once they kind of found out about the issues I was facing, they kind of gave me support with one of their counselors to get me help into finding a more safe, stable, permanent law, not permanent, but like ideally not housing that's questioning if I'm going to be able to stay there or not. And when I went to a couple other programs, I eventually had gone to La Casa Norte where I met Sean Decker. And I remember that I had a kind of like an intake process, asked a few questions about what I was going through, what kind of like some of my goals were, and just kind of getting to know me as a person. And luckily there was a vacancy at the time, and I got involved with La Casa Norte and became a member of Solid Ground.
Okay, very different ways that we all came about La Casa Norte. That's the unique thing about it. You can be from north, west, south, graduated high school, still in high school, and you're going to come across it, and they will welcome you with open arms. Moving on, it seems that all of us have had issues with housing, which is how we got here. Very unstable, very unsafe. Places that we cannot lay our heads down at night and feel, like Ricardo said, are they going to kick me out? Are they going to change their mind? So, being that all of that was going on at the time, why did you all decide to choose to receive a degree after high school? Because you have, at this point, you're an adult and you're trying to work, pay bills, and all of this. Because I know for me, when I first realized, like, oh crap, I'm on my own, in my mind, I was like, I'm still going to college. I don't care about none of that. When I find me somewhere to lay my head, I'm going to make sure that it is a place where I can sleep, a place where I can study, a place where I can become the best version of myself. So choosing higher education for me was that gate to crossing over into a better life, something more for myself. And also, it was important to me because I knew I did not want to be like my mom or my grandma or those people that we normally see in our neighborhoods or around us. So, why did you choose to pursue higher education?
Should I go?
The order of introductions.
Cool, cool. Cause yeah, okay, cool. So I'm gonna be honest. I've always been trying to pursue my education, especially after high school and everything. But honestly, it was just things were kind of hard, and it was kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to try to figure out like a goal or a dream when you don't have a foundation. So when I first came here, when I first found out about this, I knew that I was academically smart and everything, but at the same time, I was definitely like, man, I need this housing. So, if I gotta go to school, I do that because I was working like, overnight jobs and doing all kinds of things just to try to make ends meet, donating plasma and everything. So I was like, bruh, reading a book and a roof over my head is a whole lot easier than what I got going on right now. And I will say that it was kind of hard. It was definitely some challenges, but I really wouldn't trade anything, the whole process for nothing, even So, but yeah, I initially came here because I was like, man, I need some housing. You know, this whole like school thing was like, even when I was going to the school thing, it was definitely some rough patches where I was trying to figure out, what I wanted to do. But Leslie and everybody has always been supportive about everything, and it was always like, all right, man, let's get back to the drawing board. So it was like cool.
I know it's those those choices that you have to make. You said it's much easier to read a book and go to school versus continue to live on the street, which is true. Some people will rather continue to suffer instead of like going to school because they have hangups, is what my grandmother calls them. You would rather do what you want to do to get to where you need to be versus what you need to do to get to where you want to be. Ricardo?
So for me, I always grew up with the mindset of wanting to do a job or a career, I should say, that required education. And that was part of a dream of growing up to say, start off with I wanted to be a doctor, and then started I wanted to be a lawyer, and then it switched saying I wanted to be a politician, and then eventually leading to becoming a teacher. While at La Casa Norte, I knew that getting the help from them, it's not something that I want to say that I get help from forever because I want to be able to reach that. And it's not a bash, it's not a knock against LCM, but it's like I want to be able to at one point say, I've achieved what I needed to do and I'm able to be independent and find ways to help or give back. And I knew that there was always that risk and that fear that things that are out of my control can jeopardize my education. And so I thought to myself, let me go to community college first. Worst case scenario, I get an associate's degree, and that's better than just a high school degree or no degree at all. And then I thought, after that, let me go to a 4-year school so that if anything was to ever happen that would derail me from my path towards my goal at a 4-year school, I can fall back and say, well, at least I have a leg up with my associate's degree as opposed to just a bunch of college credits that could mean nothing to the eyes of employers. And so as time went on, like I just focused on making sure that I got that, because I thought to myself, for me personally, that was what I viewed as one of the keys to the success for myself in independence.
Okay, we have a lot of strong-willed people. I'm gonna call you all men since it's just you and me, and I know I'm strong-willed. So, um, we faced a lot of challenges. Charles, you didn't have plans to go to school, but given the opportunity, you're like, you know what, I'm going to do it because it's going to better me and my situation, which is good. Ricardo, you just you like me, you had no doubt. It's like I want to go to school. How can I get there? And I need housing. So it's you kill two birds with one stone. So being that we all have faced all these challenges, we know that academically achieving what we want can give us a headache. We have those teachers or those peers or those people that's just always down your back. That being said, I want you all to take a few seconds to think about one incident where you were pursuing your education and it was like really challenging. It could be anything at all. I'm not even going to come up with examples because I don't want to deter, but one incident where you were pursuing your education and it became very, very challenging. What made the situation challenging? And did you choose to stay in school by the time have crossed over this hurdle? Or did you say, you know what, I'm not going to school anymore? So, one challenge, what made it difficult, and basically, what was the outcome with that? So, one incident in particular, I was in student government. I had just been elected vice president, and I was really excited because you all know I'm outgoing. Like, I enjoy bringing people together, sharing experience, sharing cultures, and the higher ups were giving me such a hard time that one of them went to my teacher and was like, yo, Monique, I don't know exactly what they said to her, but basically this teacher came to me and told me that I needed to give up my position. And I was like, for what? And she was like, well, some of my colleagues, which were the professors and the higher ups administration, feel like you're overstepping your boundaries. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, the only thing that I could think of was me trying to put together an event that, according to my book of rules, I can do. So I'm not really sure how that can be. But in the end, I stood my ground and I ended up getting the president of the school involved. And he had to like let them know, like, as a president, vice president, or executive of something that is for the students, you can't tell her that she can't do that because it's for the students. I had been elected, and this was something that had been going on in the school. So it didn't really make me be like, oh, I'm going to quit school. But it did say to me, like, okay, you pursued this, you did it, and you should keep being who you are and doing what you're doing. Because eventually, by the time it came to graduation time, I had people giving me flowers and giving me certificates because I had been the only student in like 5 years of Kennedy King that was consistently putting together movie nights, putting together student body meetings, and all of that, and being successful at it. Charles.
Um, I will say that like I'm not gonna say a specific thing happened at school. I would say that like my one of my biggest issues was always just being honest with people about like what I was going through. And there was many times where I wasn't honest with Leslie about like if school was going well or if like housing situations weren't going well. And it just took me over time to just be like, you know what, if there's something coming up, just let them know like what it is, and let's just try to get ahead of the situation. You know, also used to just being in survival mode, and like, you know, that if I was like not getting the best grades that I know I could get, well, let me try to figure out like how do I keep this roof over my head. Like, you know, like sometimes it was just like, I don't know, it's just like it was a point in time where it's like, man, I had it so hard that anything that was challenging in life, it kind of just put me back to like, okay, well, this is hard in this type of like, and if this is the next step of my life, this is hard for this step. And instead of me just trying to buckle down and handle it while I was in that step, I took 3 steps back and went back into survival mode and was like, okay, roof over my head, food, money, and you know that's all I was focused on for like a good year. Like after I got my apartment, and so like over time, it just took me to learn. I just needed to learn more about myself. Like, you know, what actually made me upset, what was going to be, you know, helpful, what was going to be hurtful. Because for a long time, I had ignored a lot of my feelings and a lot of like what actually, you know, what impacted me. So, you know, a lot of those things that happened in school, I would probably say could have been avoided. And it really just always boiled down to having like financial like stability. You know, even when I was in school, you know, trying to get a job and everything, there was times where like it was like, man, bills was piling up over here, and you know, I chose to go to work because I was like, I gotta keep a roof over my head and everything. And so that's kind of what led me to the path of construction. You know, I started figuring out about trade schools and how, you know, you can go to school and get an education and get paid. And I remember Leslie was telling me like, hey, well, you know, this still qualifies. You know, as long as you're in some type of school, and hey, if you think you want to go to a trade school, let's look into it. Like I remember the conversation we had. I think he was taking me to work actually that morning, and I had told him like, yeah, Leslie, like, you know, like this school thing, like, you know, I learned the last semester, I had got all A's, but it was like, man, I ain't had no job. I was living with somebody. Everything was taken care of, and it was like once I got on my own, it was like, okay, now I gotta be responsible for everything. You know, I had that little shaky, like rough patch, but it's been a whole lot better now. You know, each year is it's been a whole lot better, like miles ahead of like where I was. So
So for me, one of the challenges that I thought of, it's not really so much like a moment that I could pinpoint to. I would say it's more like a concept for me, where the fact that when I was with La Casa Norte, I was going to school, but I was also trying to find a job. And when I got a job, the challenge was figuring out how to balance doing both working and going to school at the time. And then for me, I consider myself an active athletic person that likes to be involved with sports and stuff. And so I also wanted to keep that part of like who I was still intact. And just because my housing situation changed, I didn't want that to like affect something that I consider to be a big part of my identity. And so trying to balance all three things, kind of going off the word Charles said with being honest, it was just kind of a challenge and thinking and saying like, I can do this, I got this, I can do it, I got this, and kind of reaching a point where I'm just burnt out at first and just trying to struggle, keep staying afloat with everything. And as time went on, obviously, things got kind of better. But once I went from a community college to a 4-year school, the environment was just so much different. And this concept of really, in a sense, like not having a place to stay, but not, so to say, having like the stereotypical home, like with parents and things like that, that just was always a struggle where part of me knew like I fit in with my classmates because we were in the same class, or with track and cross country where we're all in the same team, or at work, we all work for the same group with the same group of people, but still kind of at the same time feeling like I never really could truly fit in. And so like that was always something trying that like was a struggle, like even to this day, like now that like I've graduated and in a sense have become more and more independent slowly but surely, it's still a little different because that part of being with La Casa Norte is a big chunk of my life. It's part of who I am, but that's still kind of like a challenge of not saying that I don't fit in, but it's just kind of having those moments where personally me, like I'm better off, happier keeping to myself rather than still trying to interact as much as I would. And that's like, for me, that was like the biggest challenge, like balancing it while trying to fit in and have people like, hey, when can we come over, hang out and stuff, and just trying to make up excuses like I got work, I got practice, I got to do my stuff, like I can't do that. Like that was just for me, like that concept of balance and self-identity was just the challenge.
And you guys are bringing back so much nostalgia right now. Like thinking back, like it's hard, but it also shows you how much you've overcome. Like all those hurdles and obstacles that you used to once be like, I'm done. Like I don't want to do this stuff anymore. But we have come so far, and we have so much more to accomplish. But I've been hearing a lot about La Casa Norte and their support. We all love them and we all cherish them. I'm going to shift into how much support, love, and care that they are giving us. How has La Casa Norte supported us? That can be through the case managers, that can be the weekly meetings, that can be anything and everything you can think of from the beginning until now. Um, I can definitely say the case managers. Like when I came here, when I started, it was Katie and Emily, and now Katie and Emily are gone, and we've had Maddie and someone else I can't remember, and now we have Tyler and Leslie, and they have been a big support. But not only that, the resources that they come up with, like if you have an issue with your housing or your landlords, or even just someone that's nothing to do with school or nothing to do with the program, they are there. Excuse me. Not only that, Casa Norte themselves, as a program outside of youth and college, have provided a lot of resources. Like I go to the pantry. I don't know about you all, but I love the pantry. Like I don't have to go grocery shopping, or if I don't have any money, I can go to La Casa Norte's pantry and I have food for the next 2, 3 weeks, if not longer. So La Casa Norte themselves as an entity, I feel is very valuable to have.
Mhm. Um, I will say like, you know, one of the best things I like about their support is that like it's catered to like each individual's need. Because when I think about all the things they done for me, man, there's been times where it was like, I might needed like school supplies, and then there might have been times where I needed like, um, like the therapy support. We'd be having those like therapy sessions, or the times where we would actually come to the actual cohort, like that we do our cohorts inside, like we'd come to the actual office. We had the pizza parties and all that good stuff. So all of those little things were just helpful to me because it just goes to show me that when I didn't have nobody, I always had them. And one thing I have been learning is like one of the things that I've been learning, and one of the things that I'm like seeing every day is like I'll never forget, like we had this one event, and we were all in there, we eating pizza. There was a lot of us, and I remember Leslie said the term like we are a team, like we like the counselors and all of them, they're like your team. Like they're supposed to help you get to where you need to go. And like ever since he said that, it was always about, okay, I'm gonna start. Like, how can they help me get to where I need to be? I might need food tomorrow, and they'll help feed me. I might need like resources with the house. And it was just like once I had that mindset of like, it's a team, and they're here to help us get to the one goal. It's just like it's been like good ever since. Just yeah, because sometimes you feel guilty about asking for help, but it's like if somebody says they want to help you, let them help you because they don't know what's going on. And if they don't help you, then now sometimes you'll psych yourself out of some things just by overthinking it. And I'm just glad I never got to overthink anything with Casa. It's always you know clear, concise, and to the point. There's no sugarcoating it. It's always on point. So they helped me out with a lot of things, and all of these things kind of just like got me to where I am now.
Yeah, now also played into something you said earlier where you're afraid to ask for help. So I know it was very challenging for you to be like, okay, these people are helping me. Or it was like, I need help. I'm not really sure I can reach out to them. But that is good that you have overcame
Yeah.
that hurdle within yourself, because it can building that sense of community can help with personal development. And I've and yeah, personal development, that's helped. So Ricardo.
I would say that the support of the case managers is the one thing that I really am thankful for from La Casa Norte and their support. I mean, for me, it was Alejandro. He was the case manager at Solid Ground at the time, and he was involved shortly after with Youth in College. But for me, his title was case manager, but that was more than just that. Like, he was a mentor. He was someone that helped me. He was an advocate, and there were times where there were circumstances that I was uncomfortable in. One of them was having to go to court for the people that robbed me at gunpoint, and that's like scary experience, and it's not something that's really easy to do. And Alex was there as a support, and just kind of like almost like not in a disrespectful way or to downplay, but like almost like a cheerleader, like just there by your side, cheering you on, helping you out when I needed to meet with professors or talk to the school because of my situation and because of certain documents I could give like on my own. And it's a little awkward and at times even humiliating and embarrassing because some people just don't know how to properly manage or handle that. And sometimes they didn't mean it with disrespect, but the way they would talk or say things can come across a different way. But it was nice to have people like Alex that would be there at the meetings and can help speak and help us out on our behalf. And I mean, I can go on, but for me, it's the people there that essentially like the advocacy that they do for you, and the fact that they let you know that they're always there. But if there are times where I said it's okay, I got this on my own, they know that they can trust and respect that and not have to always be on us about let me go here, let me go there. Like, no, like if we wanted to, they're there, and if we didn't, they respected that, which was nice to have that balance.
Yes, balance is key. Balance is key. So I know you all kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to go a little bit deeper into how La Casa Norte has supported our educational journey. And yeah, so I'm actually gonna go last on this because I need to pick something in particular to talk about so I don't become so long-winded. So we're gonna go Charles, Ricardo, and then back to me, and then I'll go to the next question.
Okay. Um, one of the key things they like Lacasa's definitely helped me out with is just paying for school because I don't qualify for financial aid. So anytime I would have to like go to school, it was always a burden to try to, get a job and work, full time, but also trying to manage like school full time. So, I have been appreciative of like the scholarships and the opportunities that they offer. I also like the fact that, they also cater to scholarships, especially like during the pandemic. I think right before the pandemic hit, they were saying like how you can use scholarship funds to help use towards like bills and things like that. So, that was like one of the main things. It was like, man, like they do so much and they're gonna help us get some scholarships. And that was one of the big things for me was just always trying to pay for stuff. Like, how do I pay for school? How do I get the supplies and stuff? So that was like one of the key things in support my education with that.
So for me, it's the finances are definitely were a big help because I mean it's not easy to cash out a couple $1,000s every semester to say here, let me pay for this. Um, Aside from that, it's just the social part of it because I know people always think about the academic side of school, but just the social side of it afterwards, like what we went through when we were in elementary high school and college. Like it's different, and people might think, well, like, yeah, that's common sense, dummy. But like, it hits different just because as young adults, whether we're regardless of our situation, everyone is trying to find out who they are and trying to reach that. And sometimes when you don't have that right guidance or when you don't have that positive support, what I like to say is like you either find an excuse or you find an opportunity. And it could have been very easy to just use my current housing situation to be as my excuse to try to justify everything, or as opposed to saying, let me find this as an opportunity to find out who I am and what I'm capable of. And LCN was just, for me, was able to help me kind of push my limits there and challenge me to not only become the man I would consider myself to be today, but also find out that, hey, it's not always a, no pun intended, one man job, but like it takes a whole village or a community to help out. And having that support outside the academic and finances was really, from my point of view, from my experience, really crucial to help me reach the point I am at today.
Yes, two of my favorite lines. If there's a will, there's a way. And it takes a village to raise a child, whether that child be an adult or a baby. So, all that being said, we all have come across those people who be like, oh, well, it's your fault, you homeless, your parents this and your parents that. But they don't know that there are different situations that can cause youth to become homeless. So, what do you want people who have this stereotype or idea in their head that it's our fault and youth is on their own? What do you want those people to know about youth who are experiencing or becoming at risk of being homeless? Um, we can go back in the last rotation, Charles, Ricardo, and then me last.
Well, for me, like my situation is like it's kind of like sometimes I don't even know how to think about it because like on one aspect like my mom was on Section 8, so I'm my mom is disabled, single mother, and she's on Section 8. So when I'm graduating high school and it's time to go to college, I got into college, like university 4-year universities, but it's like no financial assistance, there's no help. And so like I guess what I'm trying to allude to that is that if you're a family that's poor and you're an adult without any help to get to the next level, and on your only help is your poor family, then those resources only stretch so far. And so when I was living with my mom and everybody, we were all living together. It was like me, my mom, my sister, same house we grew up in, and we were all paying rent and everything. And bills get adjusted when you're on Section 8. And that was one of the things I could never understand before I ended up on my situation, was like, how are we supposed to get better if every time I get a raise, I got to report my income, or if I gotta if I go and get overtime, it like jeopardizes like what we're making. So that stuff was kind of putting strain on our family, on me and my family and everything before everything happened. Because I kind of felt like the pressure of like my mom's kicking me out, but it's like my mom is not trying to kick me out. It's either like my mom keeps her housing or like I get with the program. And so that was kind of part of it, but also we ended up finding out my mom had dementia, and we didn't find out until we became like homeless. So you know I'm paying bills, my sister's paying bills, and the money's just not getting put to where it needs to get put to. My mom's and then on top of that, my mom's like disability and everything started getting shaky. Like once you know electricity and all that stuff ran out, you know it just became hard and difficult. But at the end of the day, I was paying rent, my sister was paying rent, and my mom has dementia, and that was something that we didn't know. And that she had dementia and lost her housing due to her having dementia, like, and not keeping up with everything. So my mom, it's not my mom's fault and it's not my fault, but it still happened. So I want you to also, I guess, if people are out there listening and watching, I guess, you know life happens, and sometimes you just become a product of your life, whether you want to be there or not. That's just how it is sometimes. That's just the cards you get dealt with.
But as I say when I'm playing spades, play the cards that you dealt with if you want to win.
Exactly. Try to get them books.
So for me, and just like having conversations with people without really putting myself out there, like, yeah, I come from this kind of a background. People I've noticed tend to have this stereotype of people that are asking for change on the freeway, or people that are staying in tents and staying from one overnight shelter to another, and not realizing that homelessness isn't just that. Like, it's a whole, there's like a whole spectrum almost of like certain levels and degrees of unstable housing people can have. And the biggest takeaway that I wish people would do is that even regardless of what circumstances would have led a person to do that, I mean, we're living proof and testimonies of how just because that's our situation, that doesn't mean that's going to be our part of our identity forever. Like, it, unfortunately, that's the circumstances we're given. That's, like you said, the cards we were dealt. And that doesn't mean we can just sit there and cry and boo-hoo us like that's our situation. No, like, part of it is comes down to homeless people are still people. It may be uncomfortable, it may be challenging to talk, and I will acknowledge and I will respect that, because let's just say, for example, like, I was never in a situation and I was trying to find a way to help people, and finding out that's part of their identity. I It's not that I'm afraid, it's not that I want to offend, but like, I would want to make sure that I'm just speaking in a way that isn't degrading, that isn't disrespectful, while also being compassionate and still seeing them eye to eye, and just saying, like, you're still a person regardless of that. And I wish that people would take that when they're meeting with us, whether it's LCN or other organizations, at least on my end, I don't know about you guys, I don't want to be talked down to or be seen like I'm a victim. Like, no, I'm still capable of putting in the work, putting in the effort to get myself out of the situation. And as long as I keep making the right choices, and thankful that places like LCN exist that can give us support, it's going to go on from there. But if not, it's just, it's not a forever part of who we are. Like I said, it's only temporary. And that for me would be the biggest takeaway I want them to have.
Mhm.
Hmm. Whew. Yeah, make me want to cry, but I'm not gonna do it. One thing that I have learned a lot of things going through this journey, even now, especially like being in therapy and doing a lot of talks about going back and reflecting. I have learned that it's not my fault. Like, a lot of people be like, well, if I had mom and dad, help mom and dad do this, I had mom and dad to do that. It's different for people, for youth who are in situations like Charles. Like, your mom, she's sick, she had a disability, but our parents, some who are able, who are working, who are stable, some of them I have learned are just not fit to be parents. And knowing that, you have to understand how to reach out for help, how to look at your situation and not fall in the in crowd. I mean, follow the wrong path. Like, I was doing a lot of things that I'm not supposed to be doing, hanging out with a lot of people I wasn't supposed to be. But I had to learn that I was doing that because I thought that it was my fault, but it was not. It's not your fault. And it also a lesson that I learned in being a homeless youth is there is always going to be a way out. Like, nothing lasts forever. Like, like, it's a song. It say, "Ain't it a good thing that trouble doesn't last always?" Like, you may be down and out for a while, but on the other side, the grass is greener and the sun is shining. So go ahead and get that what the sun soak in the vitamin D, and relax and chill and enjoy being young. Like, I was always like, oh man, school. Oh man, I gotta pay bills. Oh man, I gotta work. And my friend was like, okay, so when you gonna hang out? When we gonna have a movie night? when are we gonna have fun? Like, when are we going to be young? Because she tells me all the time, she's like, dude, you're 23. Like, you have a whole life ahead of you. You have time to pay bills. You have time to go to meetings. You have time to do all this thing you want to do. Like, you need to be young. And I'm sitting here at my friend's house right now, and I've been having a ball, and I have been learning how to release the unnecessary stress. Because yes, being an adult can be stressful, but you don't have to react to it in a way that could cause like more stress on you. Like, you can relax, you can chill. Like, yes, we're gonna have to pay bills, yes, we're gonna have to do these things, but it's okay to relax. It's okay to be like, oh man, I got a lot of stuff to do, but I'm sleepy and I'm going to bed. Like, it's okay. I really had to learn that it's okay. It's not my fault, and it will not last forever. So I'm gonna end this on the bright side, because we've all actually just given these bright answers. What are you hopeful for in the future? Meaning, what are you looking forward to academically, professionally, personally, or just in general? You could touch on all three, or you could touch on one, but what are you looking forward to doing? I know for me, I'm looking forward to graduation because I need a break, and I'm ready to um, have a road trip and just hang out and be, yeah, just be.
Cool, cool. Um, I guess one of the main things for me in the future is ownership. And, that ownership could be, me starting my own company. I got a few ideas, a few networking opportunities. But outside of that, I've been always a strong person that likes to give back. So, I'm proud to say that, I'm one of like the founding members of like my grade school's alumni council. Something we started from the ground up. So, we do food drives. I think we got like two more food drives coming up in May. We're doing a whole lot of stuff for the community, and we just trying to be like that change that we want. And so I just want to see that grow. I want to see what it can be and how many people we can reach and impact. So I guess I really just want to be able to help people. Really, like I said, I just want to help as many people as I can. Whenever I try to learn something, I try to teach other people, because I don't want nobody to ever go through some of the things I went through, especially if you're like a good person. So I guess in the future, like I want to help people, and I want to have like my own company and my own, properties and investments, all that good stuff. The stuff that we working hard and grinding for right now. I want all of that. So
So for me, I would say a personal thing that can kind of tie into academic and just pretty much all across the board. It's the one thing I'm hopeful for is like a dream that I constantly have and something that I know that hopefully will happen one day where I won't talk about it anymore, but actually be experience it. Is just having a home and having a family and one child where I can be able to say that unfortunately life was not the easiest for me growing up, and I had a lot of challenges that most people may not usually have to face and go through, but just being able to know that all my hard work and my dedication and my focuses paid off at the end of everything, and just being able to make sure that my future child doesn't have to go through what I had to go through, and just being able to kind of help out in a way by providing in the way that I wasn't provided for, but also because of my success, finding a way to be able to help out, be involved, and give back to the places and people that have helped me, whether it's through volunteer work, services, or just one way or another, just being able to, my way to say thank you and give back.
I agree. I feel like everything that I'm doing now, I'm gonna look up one day and say, "Wow, like I did this." Like, I went from couch surfing, sleeping in shelters, and living in a rodent infested house, and now I have my own house, my own business, my own family, my own everything. And that's definitely something all of us should look forward to, is being able to crawl out of that hole and pack it with other things that we have come up to the surface through to get to the top. Um, Yeah, this was really good, guys. Thank you for participating, and I am very happy that you all were able to show up. I know I don't really know much about either one of you, so this was like really helpful, and it gave me insight to like y'all already know like I enjoy learning things about other people and meeting new people. So this is very helpful and very fun to do. You know, it's very interactive amongst us versus one of our case managers who already know all of this stuff, and we have to go through it all over again to explain it to them. So, thank you, and you all enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. Thank you. Be safe. Appreciate it.
Likewise, everyone have a good night.
You too.
I hope you enjoyed hearing from our students and have a better sense of why your support is so important. Our youth have all the skills and talent to change the world. Your investment in them is an investment in all of our futures. As I shared earlier today, we have the opportunity to double every dollar raised for education, up to $50,000. Please donate by clicking the donate button on your screen or by texting the number on your screen. I want to thank our youth for their courage in sharing some of their personal stories and insights with us today. And I want to thank everyone for joining us and supporting La Casa Norte. Remember, your support helps empower a generation. Thank you, and see you next year at our 7th Annual Education Luncheon, hopefully in person.